Vincenzo has a question for you. He says, my wife and I make $250K a year at 26.
Whoa.
And I have lost the ability to put money into our Roth IRA. We have a fully funded emergency fund, a Roth 401k, and had funded our Roths. What do you suggest we do now? What's next?
All right, I'm going to give a step one, and my step one is going to be in regards to the Roth 401k. So if you want to be thinking about your steps 2, 3, 4, here's the first thing I want you to do, Vincenzo. I don't know what state that you live in, but I want you to go look at last year's tax return. Here it is. We just got through tax season, so it's likely you've already filed your tax return. And I want to see what marginal tax bracket you fell into, both on the federal and the state side. Because at $250,000 of household income, in most states that have an income tax, there's a really good chance that you're beginning to teeter over that place to where it might make sense for you to do pre-tax 401k contributions instead of Roth contributions. Our general rule of thumb is if you add up your marginal federal and your marginal state, and it's greater than 30%, the tax benefit today, even at 26 years old, of doing pre-tax contributions is pretty attractive. Every dollar I put in saves me 30 cents in taxes. That's pretty attractive. Now, if you happen to be in a no income tax state and your taxable income is in such a place that you're below 25%, okay, then Roth 401k makes a lot of sense. But at that income, I would encourage you to go visit that. So now his question is, Brian, all right, I can't do the Roth anymore because my income is too high. Now what do?
You can't do a Roth contribution directly. However, assuming you don't have any other IRAs besides the Roth IRA, meaning you don't have any rollover IRAs from a previous job, or you didn't make traditional contributions where you took a tax deduction or a SEP IRA for a side hustle, then you might qualify for what's called a backdoor Roth or a conversion Roth strategy, where you'll make a contribution, a non-deductible contribution to a traditional IRA, and then you can convert that into a Roth, and it will be a tax-free transaction. A lot of people screw that part up, but it will be a tax-free transaction because you didn't take the deduction on the IRA contribution, and voila, you have a Roth contribution for the year. And this all came on the scene from back in 2010 when they ripped off any income limitations on Roth conversions. So that opened up this strategy where you could make Roth contributions into a traditional IRA or make a traditional IRA that then gets converted into Roth money. But I do agree with Bo that you ought to pay attention to the tax rates. And then don't forget, when you go look at financial order of operations, if you go to moneyguy.com/resources, when you get to step 7, and by the way, got a book coming out May 28th, Millionaire Mission. It tells the origin story. It even goes deeper into some of these strategies that I'm talking about. When you get to step 7, the hyper-accumulation, this is for people who are getting and saving and investing greater than 25%. And all this is, in the beginning, is to get you a financial foundation. It's really step 7 where we start talking about the strategy of, hey, how are we actually going to use this money? And a lot of people, when they get to that point, because there's so many tax-favored accounts, whether it's your Roth accounts or it's your 401k account at work, that by the time you get to step 7, we go, hey, since you're already loading up all those retirement accounts, and you might be one of these hyper accumulators that's thinking about retiring in your 50s, and you need this before we even reach 55 or 59 and a half, why not set up, because you can have tax location buckets, the 3 buckets we talk about in step 7, is why not have an after-tax individual or joint brokerage account, and you can start investing in there. Nothing wrong with buying index funds in that joint investment account. So that way, that money still grows in a tax-favored way. Capital gains are taxed in a better way. Dividends are still taxed in a very favorable way. But now you have much easier access to this money if you do need to retire early, or if you just want to have the ability to reach assets if you're investing in something else. I mean, when I've bought commercial real estate or done anything in something where I just needed assets really quick, of course, cash is your first stop, but then you can look in those taxable accounts and say, hey, what's the tax impact? But otherwise, this is going to be a pretty easy way to come up with money to take advantage of this opportunity.
I just want to say, holy cow, 26 years old, $250,000 income, $250,000 house. That's insane. Like, you are literally at the very beginning of your journey, and the world is your oyster when it comes to finances. If you can take advantage of this opportunity you have right now, the future looks very, very bright, and you should recognize that.
I will say one final thing is make sure that you're because I don't know, when I hear this much income, I'm assuming this person will hopefully be able to make this forever. But working with professional athletes and others who have large sums of money but at young ages, make sure you're putting a lot of that money into investments and other things and not just increasing lifestyle. Because I think that's a risk that I worry about. And I think you could do professional athletes. You could talk about what Dave Grohl talked about in his book, where when he had early success, he immediately started saving and investing because he had had a conversation with his father where they had talked about, hey, that you don't promise that you're going to keep getting big checks like this. So get that financial foundation underneath you as fast as possible so your army of dollar bills can start working. Because what you don't want to have is you tell some woeful tale when you're in your 40s and 50s and be like, I was crushing it in my 20s, but then industries changed or I was no longer able to make this money and then it all went away and unfortunately I was living this lifestyle that didn't reflect, and I wish I'd have done a little bit more then. Now I'm hopeful that 15 years in the future you're still crushing it even beyond this $250,000 a year, but at that point you'd be like, okay, now my die is cast. I've reached my, I've gotten to this critical mass where my money's doing, so now you even have more flexibility to own your time that much sooner.
Yeah, we actually have clients who have done this. They were in an industry making hundreds of thousands of dollars, and there was a seismic shift in that industry. Nothing that the client did wrong, nothing that changed, but they were diligent savers, and I mean, they were killing it on the savings spectrum. So when he went from making multiple six figures down to making not even six figures at a new job, and he wasn't able to save at the same pace for a number of years, he was still in a fantastic financial position as his income did begin to increase, as he did begin to change his circumstance. It was because of all that early saving that he did that they were still in a great financial situation. So I love that advice, and we've seen that play out very practically.